What's up, YouTube? Brian here, back again, and we are back on the table, and we're going to talk some more baits today. And today we're going to just deep dive on one specific technique, and that is the small swim bait world. Now, this is a technique that I feel that I have enough confidence in talking about because I've been doing this technique for several years, specifically on rocky, deeper lakes for smallmouth and largemouth as well. This is a really great finesse technique, especially in the glacial lakes. This works in rivers, this works in ponds, anywhere the fish are hanging out deep on the bottom, especially around rock piles, sand, gravel. Slow rolling one of these finesse smaller swim baits is going to get you fish, and it's going to catch you big fish. It's also going to catch you walleyes, it's going to catch you crappies, it's going to catch you northerns. Everything's going to eat this because, I mean, who wouldn't want to eat one of these off the bottom? But, you know, it's just a technique that I have a lot of success with, and I almost always have a finesse smaller swim bait tied on, especially when I'm fishing offshore. Now, let's dive into some of my favorites. So there's really only two things you need is this in this system, right? You need a good swim bait head, and you need a good swim bait. Now, I know there's a million paddle tail swim baits on the market. Everybody makes one. They're all kind of the same. There's differences between the plastics, the colors, the sizes. You know, some have little fins on the side, some don't. I'm just going to talk about the swim baits that I personally use, that I love, and they're easy to get, and I feel are worth your money. I'm going to be leaving links in the description for where you can buy all this stuff. One of my favorite retailers, Omnia, they sell some of this stuff. Otherwise, you can get it straight off the company's websites, and obviously you can get this stuff on Tackle Warehouse as well. So let's break this down first and talk about the heads. Now, if I were to pick one swim bait head that I could use all the time, and only one, it's going to be probably this guy. This is the Outcast Tackle GoldenEye swim bait head. This swim bait head is unique for a few reasons. Number one, it uses a Gamakatsu hook, really big hook. This is the 1/4 ounce 4/0. So this is the 4/0 hook. Now, a good rule of thumb when you're picking out swim bait hooks is if your swim bait is 3 inches, get a 3/0 hook. If your swim bait is 4 inches, get a 4/0 hook. If your swim bait is 5 inches, get a 5/0 hook. So just match the size of the hook to the size of the bait. So this is a 4/0. 1/4 ounce. Now, what makes the GoldenEye swim bait head really unique is, number one, it's got a gnarly hook. Number two, it's got a gnarly hook keeper. So if you can see this, there's a wide T, you know, built into the head, and they also put a wire keeper on the bottom. Your swim baits will stick to this sucker. You won't need glue. I've never had to use glue with these heads. Swim bait's going to stay on there. Especially the Kitex, like the softer swim baits, they're going to be perfectly good on this. Also, they designed a ramp. So this thing has a ramped lip, and this is for getting up and over rocks. So swim bait heads, especially ball-headed jigs like this one, like this is the Gamakatsu ball-headed jig, which we'll talk about in a second. Those will get stuck in rocks, get stuck in cracks. So these, I mean, this head is not impervious to being stuck in the rocks. I've lost plenty of these things. But the idea is with this ramped lip, that this swim bait head is going to hit and go up and deflect over rocks, especially ones that are a little rounded, a lot easier and get you hung up less. The downsides to this head is they are expensive. A 2-pack of these is a lot of money. These are very expensive heads. You're getting the hardware out of it. I mean, this is a really high-end, very durable, very good, super sharp hook. And so you're getting high-quality components. You're getting the glued-in eyes on this thing. They're not painted or anything. They're just glued in. They're really nice. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's like if you're going in a tournament or you're going big fish hunting and you don't want to lose a fish, this is the head you should break out. I was actually fishing with a buddy of mine who's using some kind of off-the-shelf, you know, store-bought, well, not store-bought, but, you know, he was using smaller wire, kind of more walleye swim bait heads. Or, well, sorry, walleye jigs that were lighter wire. I was using one of these. We were drifting a spot that had some 3 and 4 pound smallmouth. I was able to land my fish with this. He hooked into probably a really nice fish, you know, probably 4 pound class fish, and it bent his hook out. And he was kind of like, what swim bait heads are you using? Because I didn't bend out and I landed my fish. And that's these GoldenEyes. So I can't gush enough about these heads, but they are expensive, and I do have a better alternative if you don't want to spend the money on these. This is the 4/0. I typically throw this one. This is the 3/0. A lot of my swim baits are in that 3-inch range, so I actually tend to go with this 3/0 more, but I do have 4/0s because there are some bigger swim baits I like to throw, which I'll talk about in a second. So you got your 4/0 hook, you got your 3/0 hook, both 1/4 ounces is probably my most common size because I'm usually fishing in 10 to 25 feet of water, so I'm almost always throwing a 1/4 ounce. However, when the fish are up shallow, I do switch to the 1/8. So when I'm fishing shallower, on shallower rock piles or, you know, the bank, or around docks, that kind of stuff, the 1/8 head is coming out. So I like the 1/8 and I like the 1/4 ounce. I also have some 3/4 and some 1/2 ounces. So when I'm fishing really deep on a bait caster, don't use those heads that often. So here's the green version. They have there's a white, they come in white and they come in green. So here's the green pumpkin. And this is matched with one of my favorite swim baits is the Exo Swim 3 1/4. This is the smaller Exo Swim that Biospawn dropped a couple years ago. This is a really nice color. This is the Gobi Smoke. So it's kind of green pumpkin on the top with a translucent smoked belly with a lot of black flakes. So this is a color that they came out with, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, but this is a really nice color. Matches well with this green pumpkin. This is a fish catcher right here. I like this color, like this size. So the 3 1/4 swim bait lines up really well with the 3-inch head. That hook comes right out of the back of the belly right there. So nice setup. Here's a 1/4 ounce with a 3.8 Kitech, which is also probably one of my favorite, this is probably my most all-time used swim bait ever, is the 3.8 Fat Kitech. This is the Kitech in one of my favorite colors, Sungill. It's kind of a hard color to find, but this thing really catches them because it kind of looks like a perch, kind of looks like a bluegill, more perchy. We have a lot of perch in our lakes up here, so any kind of colors that match this, it's always gonna catch fish. This is the 4/0. So if you notice the 4/0, the hook is pretty far back. I'd rather throw the 3.8 Kitech on the 3/0 GoldenEye swim head because this hook is far back a little way, and I think that might take a little less action out of this bait when you're fishing it. So I mean, you can use the 4/0, it's fine, but I prefer the 3/0. Just kind of showing you what maybe using a slightly too big of a hook looks like on one of these. I'd rather that hook point be up here, but anyway, it would still work, still catch fish. It's all good. So that's the GoldenEye swim bait head. I really like these Exo Swim 3.25s. I love the Kitech 3.8s. Here's one of my favorite colors, the Sungill. My other favorite color is the Sight Flash. So if I had just picked 2 colors to fish all the time, it'd be probably just these 2, because you could put these on the back of swim jigs. You can throw them on these swim bait heads. White's going to cover you. This is going to cover you. So 2 good colors. So let's talk about alternatives to the GoldenEye head. So say you can't get these, say they're too expensive. I think the sleeper hook for most of the people out there, the people who know this hook and these heads know, this is just the regular old Gamakatsu round ball headed jig. These things are lead. They've been around a long time. They match up really well with my other favorite swim bait, the 3-inch Spark Shed. So this is the 3-inch Megabass Spark Shed on a Gamakatsu round ball headed jig. Now here's one without a bait on it. What's cool about these is the hook is super sharp. The lead ball head is going to deflect off cover and really bang into rocks and things. And then also the hook keeper on this is, I'd say, definitely above average. You got a double hook keeper right there. Baits do stand pretty well. You might need a little glue, but not often. But this is just a good economic bait. You get 5 of them in a pack. Tackle Warehouse sells these. Super sharp. You don't cry when you lose them like the GoldenEye heads, and they fit. I mean, just look. This is a 3-inch Megabass Spark Shed in the white color, and look at it. It just fits perfect. It's just the perfect hook for this bait. So if you're a Spark Shed fan, definitely pick up these Gamakatsu hooks. They're a lot cheaper than the Megabass Okashira heads. You can get them a lot of different sizes, a lot of different hook sizes. This is kind of my bread and butter. This is the 1/4 ounce 3/0. So if you want, pick these up. Definitely a good alternative to the GoldenEyes. So go use the GoldenEyes on tournament days. Use these on fun fishing. Although with how good the hooks are on these, you're going to land fish on tournaments as well. So say you're at the tackle shop and you need to pick up some heads, and none of the tackle shops you have or you go to has Gamakatsu round balls, which actually these are kind of hard to find. You got to get these online. Most shops do not carry these, even though they're great. This is a sleeper one. This is one you can pick up at almost every tackle shop, especially in the Midwest. This is the regular old VMC Moon Eye jig. This is kind of known as a live bait jig. This one is for, walleye fishermen. Love this jig. It's a classic. You can rig up a minnow onto this thing or a shiner. And this is kind of just your go-to walleye jig. This thing actually is really great for running swim baits. The hook is not as stout. So if you notice, I can bend this thing just by trying, like bend. So this hook is not as stout as a goldeneye. It is not as stout as a Gamakatsu, but it makes up for that in accessibility. You can get these things everywhere. Every tackle shop that sells walleye or live bait equipment almost always has VMC Mooneye jigs. So you can find these things everywhere. If you're in a pinch, I would grab some of these because they do have good sharp hooks, quality build, lots of different sizes, different colors. So don't sleep on the Mooneye. If you're in a pinch, you need some backup heads. So last but not least, I'm going to talk about two other ones that are kind of popular. This is the dirty jigs. This is in an 1/8 ounce. The dirty jigs, if you notice, the hooks on these things are ridiculously big. I've used these things. I like that they have the underwire, just like the GoldenEye Swimbait heads. I like where the line tie is. It's kind of up, so this thing always is kind of ramping up when you're using it. So it naturally pulls up to get up and over rocks. But man, the shank, I mean, the offset on this hook is so huge. I mean, this thing is what I call a wide gap. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a thing. So just to know, if you're looking at these dirty jig heads, they are good. You can throw big fat swim baits on this thing because of that big old hook. But just note that it is a little bit larger. So definitely can vouch for those. The gauge wire on these hooks are crazy. So if you really want a heavy duty beefy hook, the dirty jigs are pretty good. Now this is what a lot of people use. This is the Kitech tungsten jig. I actually have used these things a ton, and I don't like them for one reason. They're tungsten, so they're smaller. You can really feel the rocks and everything because of that tungsten feel. So if you're fishing on the bottom, you're dragging along the rocks, these Kitechs really give you a lot of good feedback through your rod, especially if you're using a really sensitive rod. The hooks are super sharp, really tacky. You can really get good hook penetration on the fish. But the problem is this plastic keeper on these things is so dainty. You're always 100% going to have to use glue when you're using one of these. Your bait, especially a Kitech on the Kitech heads, one bite, one fish, that bait is sliding and moving up and down on that hook keeper. It is just not stout enough. I wish they would make this hook keeper bigger, badder, add another one. They need to do something, but the hook keeper on these things suck. So I wouldn't spend the money on these. I think the Gamakatsu lead, even though it's lead, not tungsten, is a much better buy. Cheaper, better hook keepers. I mean, look at the difference alone. Like, which one's going to keep your swim bait on all day fishing better? Obviously, the Gami. So, another one is the ExoSwim 4-inch. So when I'm using these, the 4-aught hook, I like throwing these ExoSwim 4-inch. This particular color is great. This is the Fighter Shad. This is a super translucent pearl silvery swim bait. Now, if you have lakes that have tulibi, like say up in Minnesota, we have Leech Lake and some of these lakes that have a lot of tulibi forage or something silvery, this is a killer bait. I've caught so many walleye and smallmouth with this thing paired up with the GoldenEye 4-aught head. This is a really good combo right here. You could even get some of these. I have some 4-aught Gamakatsu hooks for running these 4-inch baits. I mean, you can throw the 3-aught onto these. It's not that big a deal. But like I said, 4-inch should probably have a 4-aught hook, whatever. But these ExoSwim 4 inches are really good. Fighter Shad is a great color if you have tannic or clear lakes with tulibi or maybe some kind of shiner or shad that's silvery. So good color, caught a lot of fish with this. And then the last color I want to touch on is the Green Pumpkin Pearl. This is a really cool color from ExoSwim. I'm not sponsored or have any affiliation with Catchco. I just really like these swim baits. They're durable. They catch fish. They're a lot more durable than the Kitechs. You can get a lot more fish out of one of these baits. But this is cool. This is the Green Pumpkin Pearl. White on the bottom, green pumpkin on the top. This is actually one of my favorite swim jig trailers. So this color alone can go on a lot of different swim jigs. You can throw it on a white swim jig. You can throw it on a green pumpkin swim jig. You can throw it on a bluegill looking swim jig. I mean, this is just a really versatile paddle tail. So great on the back of swim jigs. Great on one of these heads. Will catch smallmouth, catch largemouth, catch walleyes. Just a great color. So if I were to pick a couple colors to order, I like the green pumpkin pearl. I love the Goby smoke, and I love the fighter shad. So those are like the three really good colors, and they make a really nice pearl, just white one as well in the Exo Swims. And then I already went over the colors on the Swing Impact. So also, I don't have all my packs of spark shads on me. They're all in the boat. But the Megabass spark shad, this is one of my favorite fish catchers, especially for smallmouth. I've caught some giant smallmouth on just a little 3-inch spark shad on a 1/4 ounce round ball head. So you can't go wrong with spark shads, Kitech 3.8s, and then the 2 sizes in the Exo Swims. Those are the only swim baits that I really keep in my boat anymore, and they pretty much cover all my applications. You'll see these guys a lot at the store, the Swing Impact 4-inchers. I actually avoid these because of the thinner body. So the thinner body on these things really makes it so you can't get good meat through the middle, especially when you're running, like you're using a swim bait that's got these, you know, really gnarly plastic keepers. It kind of shreds the crap out of these things. They're just a little too thin for me. That's why I like the Kitech Fats. So the Fats give you a lot more meat in the middle to really hold that bait onto your, you know, really high-end swim bait head. So anyway, you can try them. These do catch fish. They're definitely not bad, but they're just a little thin and a little dainty for me personally. That's why I like the Fats. So anyway, that's my run through on my on the swim bait setups that I use when I am smallmouth and largemouth fishing. I hope that helped. I throw almost all this on spinning gear. Usually I have all this stuff tied onto a spinning rod with braid to a fluorocarbon leader. However, when I'm fishing deeper or with any size bigger head than a 1/4 ounce, like if I go up to a 1/2 or a 3/8, then I'm definitely going to bust out the bait caster and I'm going to throw it on something like a Megabass Deimos or the Javelin or something like that. So anyway, hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Otherwise, I will throw links to where you can get pretty much all this stuff in the description of the video. So until next time, like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next one.